Hi, this is your host from our channel. Today we are going to share with you how to make delicious peanut butter cookies. Be sure to watch until the end so you don't miss anything. And of course, do not forget to like this video and subscribe for more contents. Thanks guys. So let's get started. First of all, let me tell you that this recipe is super easy and you will see how simple it is to make such delicious cookies. Let's go. First of all, grab a mixing bowl. I have this big one, but you can use any size depending on the quantity of cookies you want to make. So I'm going to start by cracking eggs into the bowl. The recipe that I'm using today requires 2 eggs, but if you want to double the recipe, feel free to do so. Just make sure to keep everything else the same. Once the eggs are in the bowl, break them up with a whisk or a fork. Then add half a cup of granulated sugar. Again, I'll be using half a cup because I'm only making half of the recipe, but you should use 1 cup if you're making the entire recipe. Next, add 3 tablespoons of packed light brown sugar. This will give the cookies a chewy texture and a rich flavor. After that, we will need 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. You can use imitation vanilla if you want to save some money, but I always recommend using pure vanilla extract, since it tastes way better. Okay, then add salt and baking soda. For this recipe, we will need 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Now we've gone. Now mix all these ingredients together. And this is when you want to make sure that everything is well combined. Then start adding 3 cups of all-purpose flour. Again, I'll only be using 1 and a 2 cups since I'm making half the recipe. Do not over-mix the dough. Once it starts coming together, you're good to stop mixing. If the dough seems to dry, you can always add a tablespoon or 2 of milk, but if it's too sticky, you can add a little bit more of flour. So just work with it until it's not sticking to your hands. Now that the dough is ready, we will move on to the next step, which is making the peanut butter mixture. Grab another bowl, or you can use this one. By the way, I did clean this bowl in between the 2 steps, but this is where you will mix the peanut butter mixture. So first, we will need 1 and 2 cups of creamy peanut butter. It is important that you use creamy and not crunchy peanut butter, or else you will have crunchy cookie dough. I know some people prefer crunchy cookies, but since I like my cookies soft and chewy, I will always use creamy peanut butter. Then add 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. This will give the cookies a nice balance between sweet and salty. Next, add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Make sure to mix everything until the sugar is completely dissolved in the peanut butter. You can use a rubber spatula for this step. That works pretty well. Once the peanut butter mixture is ready, we will start rolling the dough into balls. You can use a kitchen scale to weigh the dough, but I don't have one, so I will eyeball the portions. You can make the cookies bigger or smaller depending on the size that you want. So once you have even pieces, roll them into balls and then flatten them slightly. I recommend keeping the rest of the dough covered with plastic wrap to prevent it from drying out while you work with the rest of the dough. Then place the dough balls onto ungreased baking sheets. I'm using a mini muffin pan because I like mini cookies. But you can use a regular baking sheet lined with parchment paper or a silicone baking mat. Leave some space between each cookie. Keep in mind that they will spread as they bake. After that, we're going to roll the cookies in the peanut butter mixture. You can use a fork to dip the cookies into the peanut butter mixture. Or you can do it by hand, like I am doing. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure to coat them evenly. If you're making a lot of cookies, you can also use a spoon to roll the cookies in the peanut butter mixture. That would be much faster. The next step is to roll the cookies in granulated sugar. You can use a shallow dish for this step. Then gently tap off any excess sugar. You can also use a fork to remove any excess sugar. This step is optional. I usually do it, but if you don't want to, you can skip it. The last step is to bake the cookies. For this step, you will need an oven. Preheat the oven to 375 degrees F or 190 degrees C. Bake for 8 to 10 minutes or until the edges are lightly golden. Keep in mind that ovens can vary, so keep an eye on the cookies to avoid burning them. Once the cookies are done, take them out of the oven and let them cool on the baking sheets for a few minutes before transferring them to a wire rack to cool completely. And that's it! Your delicious peanut butter cookies are ready. You can enjoy them as they are, or you can make some variations. As I mentioned before, I like my cookies soft and chewy, but if you prefer crispy cookies, you can bake them for a few minutes longer. Also, you can add chocolate chips or other mixings to the dough before rolling the cookies into balls. And of course, you can add toppings after rolling the cookies in the peanut butter mixture. For example, you can sprinkle some chopped peanuts or chocolate chips on top of the cookies before baking. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer all of them. Also, if you have any suggestions of what to make next, please share your ideas. We would love to hear them. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye.